We encounter data out in the world all the time, healthcare data or immigration data or sports data, et cetera, et cetera. But what does it look like to create our own data? I'm going to give you a real life example. About a year ago, my wife Lindsay and I were considering buying an English rock bar in Cali, Colombia. Cali, Colombia is a beautiful city. It is considered by many to be the salsa dancing capital of the world. In Cali, Colombia, there is a man, John Martin, who moved over from England over 40 years ago. He opened this English rock bar called Martin's. We were considering buying this rock bar. So the question then would be like, how would we decorate it? What would we put up in terms of band paraphernalia? I am coming up with this made-up survey. We did not survey a single person. How would we go about using data to figure out how to decorate the bar? I'm just going to go to Google Sheets and head to blank, new spreadsheet, start from scratch, and I'll say surveyed individual, and then I will put favorite English rock star or band. Great. Surveyed individual is just listing off like the first person I asked, the second person I asked, the third person, the fourth person. And let's just imagine that I was going to ask 30 people. Now, remember, these are just kind of like the little tricks of the trade. Because my first row was a label, was a column title, I actually have to go out to row 31 in order to have surveyed 30 people. These things you get the hang of as you work with this stuff a lot. So we've got these favorite English rock star or band, and what we might find is that we could just type in the value. So I asked person 1 and they said The Who. I asked person 2 and they said the Beatles. They said Radiohead or the Smiths. And there's nothing wrong with this. However, this isn't the preferred methodology, because what happens if I miss a spelling? I accidentally put in the Smiths, and then I start doing data analysis, and then I know that I asked 30 people, but I'm only coming up with 29 answers, and now I've got to go and look through every single one of these values to see like, hey, what's going on? One good way to deal with this is with data validation. I want to show you how that works. I'm going to head up, and in data, I can head down to data validation. I'm going to add a rule and just put in the actual band names. I could end my list this way. However, I want to caution you, because if you do this, what you may find is that somebody either has another favorite English rock band that you just didn't think to list. Like, for instance, I didn't put Pink Floyd on this list. Like, Pink Floyd's an amazing band. They're a great English rock band. What I probably should do is cover my bases and just put other. And there may be like, I don't know any English rock bands. It happens, right? And we want people to have a list that we would call collectively exhaustive, that people are going to truthfully answer exactly one of these questions. Or we'll get to collective exhaustion down the road, but ultimately that's what it means. Cool, so I have this done. Now I have this big old list, and so I ask the first person, and well, who's your favorite English rock band? I say the Beatles. Notice it doesn't really show up because we don't have enough room in the row. A little pro trick that works with any spreadsheet program, Microsoft Excel, Apple Numbers, Google Sheets, is if you just go in between the two columns, you'll get these arrows pushing out. If I double click, now I have a column width that is automatically large enough. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. All that work that I did only applies to the first value. And if I just head on down to the bottom right-hand corner and double click, now it's going to auto-populate, and it's going to auto-populate with the same answer that I put. So the Beatles, the Beatles, the Beatles. I love the Beatles. They are my favorite English rock band. However, that's probably not what the survey results would indicate. As long as this is a made up survey, I'm going to have to go in and make some changes. The Who and Led Zeppelin and Queen and David Bowie, et cetera, et cetera. But notice I am making up a survey. I'm making up the results. I'm truly just going in and having fun here. That's it. Now I have populated with my fake data just for the sake of doing an exercise. And I want to encourage you to imagine that you conducted a different kind of survey. It could be like, who's your favorite sports team? Or it could be, who's your favorite modern American band or music group? Or if you could go to one of these 6 countries, which of the 6 countries would you go to? But make sure that you do some kind of like an other, or I don't know any of those countries, or I'm not interested in any travel at all. Something so that your survey results are what we would call collectively exhaustive. You have thought in advance of every possible true answer that the survey responder could provide. We want survey responders to be able to speak honestly to what they're being asked without having to make stuff up, because that's going to provide unwanted noise in our data. A couple things. I am a big believer in cleaning up my data. I can go columns A and B, and I can just center the values. And when I do that, I once again run into this issue where maybe I need to widen out. As long as I'm on this, I can start going over, say, 12, make the headings larger. I could underline the headings. I could put a border value below. These are the kinds of like little tricks of the trade that you learn along the way. Certainly, if you were to take a spreadsheet course, you would be introduced to all kinds of these little formatting tips that can really dress up and allow you to put your results in a new light. Last but not least, it can be a good idea to name the spreadsheet and also to name the worksheet. I'm going to put favorite English rock band survey results down here. And up here, I'll say Cali bar decorations, because that's the purpose of my survey. I want to know which bands do I want to put their paraphernalia up on the walls.